Morning, everybody. Good to see all of you. Great to be here. Thanks for joining the session. Today, like mentioned in the introduction, I want to tell you a little bit about our continuous delivery journey. In fact, it was quite good that we had this continuous integration session up front, because in the end, continuous delivery is just a logical step after continuous integration. Is that the right button? No. Okay. So first of all, because I just mentioned a couple of sentences about Wirecard, but just to give you a short introduction who we are actually, and then guide you a little bit through our journey. So, okay, like I've mentioned, we are not a startup anymore. We are quite grown. Like I've said, we are combining financial banking solutions with technology. So we are actually what is called today the fintech. And we are developing, we are providing for our customers worldwide payment solutions. And with that, we are one of the innovation leaders worldwide. We are one of the most successful brands on the tech DAX. And like I've mentioned, our headquarters is in Munich, but we have offices spread all over the world. Just to give you a very brief overview about our core product, in regards, I will also talk today about the continuous delivery. The core product when it comes to the payment processing is our payment platform. And the payment platform itself provides different kinds of services, product features when it comes to the payment processing and related other services. And this is the area for which we have looked into continuous delivery. We have talked about that today already. I'm pretty sure that most of you know what it is, but just have a brief look and let's see what Martin Fowler is saying about continuous delivery. In the end, it just means whenever you have something which is done and finally developed and can be released, release it, deploy it, and bring it to your customer. That's in the end what we are talking about. So, like I've said, it's the logical extension of a continuous integration. And continuous integration, like we heard, is to build your release. And then the continuous delivery, in the end, is the preparation. And then we have the continuous deployment, which is actually then the deploy process. So if we want to do continuous deployment, we have to do continuous delivery. And what we would like to achieve, of course, is to reduce the manual interaction and automate more or less everything we can automate in the whole process to really ship our software whenever it's ready. And not maybe because the sprint is not ended or, I don't know, the release is not, release management is not prepared or whatever. And the idea is, of course, to have a process in place where you can really do one-click deployments. So not doing a lot of preparations and things like that, handling tons of stuff, but really clicking a button and run it through. And what is it not? It's nothing you can buy somewhere out of the box. There is no product which can give you a continuous delivery process out of the box you can install and you can use right away. It's always something which has to be adapted in your own organization, in the infrastructure. It has to be adapted for the products, for the services, for the process you have. And it's really something where we as development have to work together with ops, so that we really are following a proper DevOps process, and everybody really wants to or needs to really want to do something like that. It's not that you can really say, okay, we do that, and people say, oh, I don't like that. So really, everybody needs to be committed. What we also have looked into, or what in general is required if you want to do continuous delivery, there are some preconditions. Of course, you need a CI pipeline somehow. You need to have the step in before to really get your feedback, to really set up your CI pipeline. You need to look into how you can really automate your application deployments. We also looked into this blue-green deployment, others call it A/B deployment, so it doesn't matter. You know the principle. So there are different things you have to look into to really also automate, in the end, the deployment process. You have to think about how you deal with your database changes, with database rollouts. You can use version schemas. We also have the let's say, the requirement or the challenge that we have cluster deployments. So all these kind of things, something you have to take into consideration. So, why doing all that? I mean, there are, let's say, in our days with the business we are all doing, it's mainly about two topics. It's about speed and it's about quality. So we want to be fast, but we also want to be good. And I mean, I think these are the two essential points when it comes to continuous delivery and why you should do it. Like I've said, we want to deliver our software as fast as possible to, in the end, make our customers happy. And it's about really deploying something when it's ready and when it has met also the release criteria. And the quality, I mean, we want to get rid of all these manual steps we have when it comes to the deployment. We want to minimize the manual interactions for all the different activities so that we really have, let's say, a streamlined process. And another important thing is, I mean, you should really concentrate on your core responsibilities and core tasks and not dealing with all that stuff, or your colleagues from like, I don't know, from ops should deal with these kind of things. So really let that do the tools and the automation and really concentrate on your own business. I mean, you most probably have already some tools in place, and it doesn't mean that you now have to throw them all away. Use whatever you have and try to integrate them into the whole process. So, what was our starting situation? I mean, in the end, of course, we are aware of all these kind of things, but just give you a little bit of a specific introduction of how it's going with or in Wirecard. So, in general, we are doing, let's say, agile development since 10 years already. We are doing TDD, we have automated tests mainly, we have a quite good code coverage, we have the continuous integration pipeline, of course, in place. So we are very well and we are very good in automating our development pipeline. But, there is the but when it then comes to the deployment and shipping our stuff to the customer, then we are actually quite bad, to be honest. So what we are doing is just handing over mainly a WAR file to the application administrators and then saying goodbye, and they then have to deal with some release notes, some procedures, and doing all the steps manually. So this is not a state-of-the-art process. This is not what is our quality requirement. The other thing is, I've mentioned it before in my introduction, we are quite distributed. So we have a couple of offices spread over the globe where we have actually development ongoing. This is in Munich, this is in Austria, Košice, Brazil, Singapore, so India, you can see it. It's quite spread all over the world. So all these teams are preparing something for the release, which then has to be somehow prepared. Our system landscape is quite complex. We have the SOA approach, of course, we have distributed systems, and we have more or less 15 applications we have under constant development. Our release management, the overall release management is in Munich, so there we collect everything, there we mainly prepare the releases. We have sometimes, for one of the main applications, for example, change sets, 2,000 to 3,000 change sets per release. And as you can see, we are really doing releases and deployments all day long. So in total, we have roughly 1,000 releases per year. And this is just a screenshot I just took 2 days ago from our release calendar. So you can see it's really, we are busy. There are, of course, some other stuff in, but this is mainly, our release schedule. Another challenge we do have is, as we are not only a technology company but also a financial institution, we have some regulations, or there are some regulations in place we have to follow, and one of that is we have what we call separation of duties. So we have different roles, and all of these roles are involved in the release and deployment process. So as you can see, this is quite a lot of an overhead, and of course we have all of our tools somehow integrated in that. So let's briefly summarize. Again, our two topics, speed and quality, which are the main ones. Of course, we want to be faster. Of course, we want to deliver our products and our services to our merchants, to our customers as fast as possible, and we want to do that as soon as possible. Of course, we want to keep the quality. We want to know very soon when we do have a problem. Yeah? And again, we also want our people to concentrate on what they're really responsible for, on their core tasks, and not in dealing with manual stuff or things like that. So, what did we do? Okay, so we realized, okay, obviously we have a problem, and the good thing is, what I really would like to point out, the idea of looking into continuous delivery was nothing which was decided by management, so it was really something the team came up. So the team decided, okay, we want to improve ourselves and we want to be better. So they decided, let's look into some tools, let's start some evaluations. And that's what we did. So we analyzed a couple of tools, and we figured out very soon that there are tools in the market from Xebia Labs, which were really addressing our requirements and needs. The good thing is, XL deploy, XL release, there are handling on the one side the deployment, and on the other side the release workflow. So that's what we looked into, and we set up a proof of concept, and we started looking into, okay, how all these things can go. As it's not so easy to do something like that in your live production environment, of course, we decided, okay, let's develop a small application which looks a little bit similar to what we have in regards to the setup and the processes and everything, and let's use that for the POC to really play around and to be independent of what we have in production. And that's what we did. So we decided to go for a standard, let's say also infrastructure setup to do all the analysis and evaluations. We left out a couple of things like database changes, but in the end we tried to modelize whatever we have already in the infrastructure and use the tools we have. So in the end, what we wanted to achieve and what we did achieve is really to have the whole flow from the integration, from the continuous integration to the continuous delivery to the actual deployment. So the CI is doing whatever the CI needs to do, and then in the end, we have a potential release candidate which can be shipped. First, QA, of course, takes that, do all the tests and everything, but then in the end, we have something business or whoever can say, yes, I do click a button, and then we can deploy it to production. Like I've mentioned briefly before, we looked into the blue-green deployment, so to have two different instances where we can have the actual version, deploy the new version, and then just switch the traffic. Yeah, and like I've said, that's what we did, that's what we achieved, and in the end, it went quite successful. We had a very good collaboration with our partner Xebia Lab, supporting us during the whole time, giving us a little bit of consultancy, and yeah, then it was like, okay, how do we proceed? We looked into the tools more in detail. We talked with the different people being involved as well in the future, because like I've said, it's nothing you can do only in the development teams. You have to talk to ops, you have to talk to, I don't know, release management, whatever you have, depending on your organizational structure. So we looked into the tools more in detail to also introduce it to the others. So just to give you again the summary, the XL deploy is really the tool where you do then the deployment actually by clicking the button. So you can model your infrastructure, you can model your domains, and you are able then to deploy a version to any domain you want to. And the XL release is really then the workflow engine where you can orchestrate your workflow, where you can trigger the releases, and where you also can do some statistics, where you really can see, okay, where do I still have a problem, where does it still need too much time, and things like that. So, internal alignment, like I've said, that's very important. I mean, that's really one of the lessons learned. If you don't have the people on board, it won't work. So, sit together, try to get everybody on board, talk to the people, figure out how your infrastructure looks like, figure out what you need to do, figure out what you need to change, figure out what is working good already and what do you maybe have to change. This is really one of the crucial parts, and we, had a couple of issues with that. And yeah, it was quite hard at the beginning to get all the people together, especially our security guys, because like I've said, we have a couple of requirements and you have to get security and the audit guys on board. But in the end, we did it, and yeah, we started with that. We started to prepare the infrastructure, and we started to do the implementation. In the end, what I would like to give you is try it out. And start something small, start something in your team. Just try it out first, and then you can grow bigger. Like I've said, the most important thing is that the initiative, from my point of view, has to come from the teams. It's nothing which management will give you, so you have to decide this is something we want to do, and this is something we want to try out. You have to be agile for that. So it's not an approach you can do if you are doing waterfall development. So you need to be agile, you need to use Scrum or Kanban or any other approach. You need to refactor your applications because you need automated tests. Everything needs to be running properly. DevOps process is very important. You need to work together. And I mean, in the end, it's something you do for yourself, you do for your company, and you do for your team to develop your products further and to really bring a benefit, business value to your customers. Yeah, and that's it. Thank you for your interest and attention. You can come by to our booth. We also have a roundtable today at lunchtime about microservices and SDKs. So just come by and talk to our colleagues.
Great. Actually, we have... Thank you, Richard.
Any questions?
We have several questions.
Good.
I keep touching the mic because we're miking up the next speaker. And let's give a hand to Richard, who's our technician in the back. He's very busy. Yeah. I'm pointing to the mic to get it on. When I stand closer, it goes, actually, we have a couple questions.
Good.
And one from, if I pronounce your name correctly, Kariel Mohammed. Many factors affect a sprint. Impediments being the most problematic in his company. Yeah. How do you deliver something when a sprint is not complete?
Well, I'm not quite sure if I get the question properly.
Like if things aren't ready with that particular team, because you said you're distributed throughout the world.
Yes.
So if they're working on one sprint, and if it's not ready,
well, that's maybe it was a misunderstanding. Of course, the projects and the tasks are distributed, but we don't run sprints distributed globally. So the sprints are, sorry, maybe this was not mentioned properly. The sprint, every team, of course, have their own sprints and they have their own plannings. Of course, we are running in sync. So if we have a 2-week sprint, the others also have their 2-week sprint. So everybody is responsible for delivering one package, one commit to the branch.
Super. Does that answer your question?
So that's maybe...
Okay. Jelena Pokemitsa, I believe is the name. How is it possible that you only have 70 to 90% code coverage when you do test-driven development?
Yeah, that's...
Shouldn't it be 95?
Yeah, that's totally true. Like I've mentioned, we have approximately 15 applications we are constantly developing on. Some of them are actually legacy applications, and that's why in the average we have for some, of course, a higher ratio and for some a lower ratio, because for the legacy applications we also have some migration projects ongoing where we don't want to invest further time in automating the tests.
Okay.
Because we want to concentrate on the new service and on the new module.
And 2 more questions here.
Yes,
One is a little more detail-oriented. You think it's better to store the CI configuration in each repository for instance, in a file, or configure pipelines on the CI server?
Yeah, I mean, that's really a little bit related to one of the questions addressed to the former speaker. It's really something you have to figure out how it's working for your team and for your environment. I don't think that there is a one-way answer which is fitting to all the teams and for all the projects and for all the scenarios. It's really something you have to look into depending on how you are working. In distributed teams, it's, I think, a different situation where you maybe have to go more on the CI level instead of the branch level. But I wouldn't give a yes or no answer to that.
Thank you, Jan Pier, for that question. Last question from Daniel Tunicic. How is op roles set up on your side?
Sorry, what?
Just several questions, but how are op roles?
Ops, yeah.
Ops roles.
Okay, so like I've said, we have a clear separation of what is development and what is operations. So operations with Wirecard is everything which is in regards to application administration, servers, network, database. So this is, I wouldn't say separated, but we still have to find the proper link between development and operations. And that's why I've mentioned several times, because I think that's one of the crucial parts for continuous delivery to be successful with that both have to really work well together, and that you have to find interfaces and a way of communication how to deal together. And this, from my point of view, you can really achieve best if you have an automated process where everything fits together.
And a related question to that from Daniel is that, how do you have any conflicts between ops roles and dev roles? You're smiling there.
Yeah, because I think at least for Wirecard, and I don't want to hide that, it's always something I call a clash of cultures. Because in development, like I've mentioned, we are agile, we are doing Scrum, we are really trying to improve our processes and everything around. And on the ops side, we are very, let's say, regulation driven. There is some ITIL in place, and you know, this is, from theory, this is not working well together, but that's exactly our challenge, so that we have to see how we bring the things together, and also, let's say, convince ops that in the end what they are doing is also somehow part of the deployment and development pipeline, because without ops we are not able to deploy and to ship our products to the customers. And I think this awareness is something which not every ops team really has, and they are not really aware of the position they are in, so that they are also a crucial, let's say, part within the whole pipeline to really be able to successfully ship the products to the customers.
Great. There's actually one follow-up question. I think it's the last one that I have here. Is it from Volodymyr? Everything looks good, so it's positive feedback, but you still use QA in pipeline. Why?
Still use QA?
What do you mean by QA?
Pipeline. May I have a look?
Yeah.
Everything is good, but you still use QA in pipeline. I'm not quite sure. Maybe this is also misunderstanding what I meant in the flow of the process we did during the proof of concept. With QA, I meant actually our quality engineers, so the testers. So that's why I'm not quite sure if I understand the question and if this is actually.
But you're available after the talk?
Of course, I'm still available at our booth, and like I've said, we have also our roundtable. So just come by if you have further questions. I'm still available the whole day, and happy to welcome you there.
Wonderful, thank you, Linda Fu.
Thank you so much.
Give it a good hand for Linda Fu.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much.